I was put on this earth to wake people up through food and diet. And I discovered it through having my own health issues. I feel like I was actually in my car today driving home from the gym just thinking how grateful I am that I have autoimmune, how grateful I am to have been as sick as I was, because now I can speak from experience and help. There are so many young women out there who are suffering, and it excites me every day to know that I have information for them to help them.
That's Katelyn Louise, and this is the Pure Joy Podcast. Today I'm talking with Katelyn about autoimmune and the journey that she went through in really healing her body. It doesn't just involve food. There's a lot that's involved in healing the body, and Katelyn really goes into deep detail about what she experienced and how she's come out the other side actually happier and more grateful than ever. Welcome. I'm Elaina Love, and today we're talking to Katelyn Louise about autoimmune. We're going to learn how she was able to heal her body through diet. Katelyn is an expert in detox and healing herbs. She is very knowledgeable on all these things because she's been able to use them over the years. She works with me here at Pure Joy Planet. She is a culinary instructor, and she also is a private chef, and she's been doing this for over 10 years. She is a wealth of knowledge on anything herbal, anything having to do with medicinal mushrooms, and also what to avoid if your body is in healing mode. She's also an expert on low glycemic or ketogenic, and she and I together have created our ketogenic plant-based courses that we now offer. So I'm really excited to have you here today, Katelyn. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, finally.
Katelyn's been really encouraging me over the last couple of years, and it's taken this much time for us to finally get it launched. This is, I think, our 6th episode. And so you're going to be hearing from Katelyn a lot more on these podcasts, and she'll be interviewing people as well because we are a duo. And it's so great to be able to work with you. And I know you have this amazing story to share about your healing journey on autoimmune. Some of the stories you've told me about what you used to eat and how you figured out you had celiac disease as well. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about like your discovery, how you figured out you were ill and what was happening to you.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's been a lifelong journey, I would say. Even as a young kid, I was always known as the girl with the stomach aches. Grew up always reactionary to food. But, at the time, even 20, 25 years ago, celiac disease and autoimmune, those were terms that people didn't really hear about. So it was just me with the stomach aches. And it wasn't until I was 18 and actually had overgrowth of bacteria to the point where my appendix almost burst. So that was kind of the one trigger that my autoimmune was triggered by. So they say that if there's a traumatic event in the life like that with your health, that's when an autoimmune symptom can be activated. And that was definitely where it started for me. So okay. I was drinking a lot and doing all the things that teens do. And that triggered the appendix, and I got my appendix out, and that's when my health really started to decline even further. So the appendix is the filter of bacteria, right. And so I had one less filter of bacteria. And when you have autoimmune or a celiac, your reaction to gluten, for one, causes inflammation in the gut, and to the point where the villi in your intestines basically die. So I wasn't able to absorb a lot of nutrients at the time and started to lose weight at a very rapid rate.
And why do you think that was? Because, so talk a little bit about the villi dying. So the villi are in the intestines, mm-hmm. And I didn't know that they could actually die. I know that they could flatten, but
right.
They actually die.
They actually die if you don't catch it in time. And since celiacs can happen, from the first day you were born, and I was eating a ton of gluten. I mean, my dad fed me pancakes and waffles and oatmeal and everything under the sun that contained gluten as a kid. I mean, breakfast I used to have were just monstrous gluten. And mind you, nobody knew that that was ever going to be a trigger. So it was years of compacting my body with gluten that couldn't be digested. So that means that I had an overgrowth of bacteria, and the gluten actually caused so much inflammation that the villi die. And so when I actually discovered that I had celiac, was a whole nother story. I mean, it took years to even discover that that's what it was. Many regular MD doctors just thought, oh, you just need to eat more.
Right. And you were stuffing your body. You were telling me like the things that you would eat it was ridiculous. Like your dad. So you moved to Canada when you were a teenager because your mom was living in the US and your dad was living in Canada and you were 11.
Yeah.
So dad wants to take good care of his daughter and he sees you getting thinner, right? And then he's just giving you mountains of food before school, trying to stuff you up with food.
Definitely.
Which sounds like a loving parent. Of course, he didn't know. But I think it's good for people that are listening to know, like if they have a child in their life or someone in their life that looks anorexic or thin, maybe they're not. Because I know you got that a lot. People were saying you must be anorexic and they were judging you.
Yeah, by the time I was 20, I was severely underweight. I was about 85 pounds and lost a lot of friends, lost a lot of support because nobody knew what the issue was. They really did think I had an eating disorder. And it wasn't until my dad got me into a naturopath that they said, you know, why hasn't anyone tested you for celiac? You have all of the symptoms for it. Like you're severely malnourished. I got a blood test and I had 0 on everything, 0% calcium, 0% iron. Like I was basically walking skeleton. And
right. Yeah. And your hair was falling out too?
My hair was falling out. I mean, I looked sickly. So that was really, when I discovered that I actually had celiac, I was so empowered by it all because I actually knew, okay.
Yes. Finally, you know what to do.
This is what I can do. Yeah.
Right.
And I went crazy in the kitchen, just throwing away everything under the moon possible that could contain gluten, everything from toothpaste to my shampoos to soy sauce, all of these things that my cupboards were just like gluten intensified.
Right. Well, and a lot of people don't realize when you told me that sometimes shampoo contains gluten or toothpaste, if someone's out there and they have celiacs and they're not healing, it could be because they're gluten in their toothpaste.
Right.
Which is crazy. Why would they put it in toothpaste?
It is crazy. So they were able to do a biopsy and all my villi were basically like dead. So they weren't only flat, they weren't able to regenerate it. So that's why sometimes when people discover these autoimmune symptoms, they want this quick fix, like maybe it'll just take me a few months to heal. But I tell you now, it's 10 years later and I'm still on my healing journey. I mean, I've definitely healed 200%, but it takes a long time for those cells to regenerate.
Right. You have to give the body time to heal.
Time, space, meditating, all of it.
Can you tell us some of the things that you did? Like once you discovered you had celiac, and you got, were you living alone at the time or were you still living with your dad?
At the time,
okay, so you went in your cupboards, the first thing to do. So that's a really great first thing to do, right? You went in your cupboards and just got rid of anything that could hurt your body.
Exactly. So I basically did a full clean out of my entire pantry. And it was really empowering too, because I was able to do my own research at that time. I had no doctor. The naturopath she got me to where I needed to be, but she wasn't giving me like clear answers or things to do. So I was just basically a self-experimentation for a really long time. Okay. And gluten-free foods were not a thing either.
So what did you start eating in place of it?
I just started making my own recipes. And I discovered raw foods at the time too, because through my research, so many people have said how they've healed so much through raw food. And I was looking through every modality for something to latch onto that could heal me, because I was in a lot of pain too. And I was extremely moody. So that's another symptom that comes with when your gut is compromised. Serotonin is produced mostly in the gut. It's about 90% in the gut. So if your gut isn't working properly, you can't produce your happy hormones. You can't regulate your mood as well. So I would wake up sometimes not only just like arthritically achy, because that was a big symptom for me with autoimmune, was just getting out of bed hurt so badly, but just depressed and angry, and for no apparent reason.
Right.
I couldn't physically produce any hormones or sexual hormones for that.
Well, I mean, I've even experienced that because I've been eating a plant-based diet for 20 years and gluten-free and, really clean diet, and that's healed my body. But I noticed over those years, if I would I'm just going to experience a little gluten today, maybe some pizza or something, I would feel so depressed the next morning. I call it a food hangover. Mm-hmm. It's worse than alcohol hangover.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. And even to this day, you and I talk about that, and it's not even gluten. It's just something if we eat like heavy foods that could trigger autoimmune, you can feel those symptoms pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So So you took all that out, and then I know you went to Bali for a really in-depth healing journey.
I did, yeah. So, what they say is when you're ready, the teacher comes. And I was so open and ready for someone or something to look up to that could tell me, this is what you need to do to completely heal. Because I was feeling like I was doing all the right things. I made progress, but not enough. Mm-hmm. Like I was gaining weight, but it was like 1 pound every few months. So in my parents' eyes, I hadn't healed at all.
You didn't look any different. Yeah,
exactly. And they're like, really, you think this raw food thing is like, they were so skeptical because they could see that I was still suffering. But I knew so deep down that this takes time. It took 20 years to build my body into this. It's going to take time to heal it again.
Right.
So I actually discovered Amy Rochelle, and she has a holistic detox training. And that's what brought me to Bali. I was only supposed to go for those 10 days for her training and come home a couple weeks later. And I ended up staying. And so grateful I am that I was under her care for about 8 months. Right. And if any of you know her protocol, she focuses basically on zero sugar to heal the body. Zero sugar, lots of green juice, lots of cleansing in the form of sustaining from any food. So just drinking juice.
Abstaining from any food.
Yeah.
Okay. So just tell us what like the 10 days looked like, because some people might think sugar is just white sugar, but it's way more than that.
Yeah. So basically not even coconut water. So not even anything.
Nothing with a glycemic load.
So no fruits. Basically like you're on moderate fat and moderate protein. So she's completely raw vegan, or her protocol is at least.
Right.
And, her nut use is very low too, because that can be very inflammatory for someone healing. So the 10-day course that I did was a 5-day chef, which was teaching you how to make some of these low glycemic foods, make them taste good, because she's not about not having, like, depriving.
You don't want to suffer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like you need a replacement for the foods you're getting rid of.
Exactly. And then the last 5 days was a cleanse. So that was probably my third real cleanse where I just drank juice for 5 days.
So only juice for 5 days. And then tell me about what happened, because you were doing colonics, which colonics... You want to talk about what colonics are?
Sure. Well, I continued her protocol for another 8 months. So that was 8 months more of no sugar, periodic fasting where I just drink juice, and colonics at least once or twice a week. So
and 100% raw.
100% raw. Okay. No sugar past my body. And some people could say that's very extreme, but
autoimmune is very extreme.
Exactly. And when you're in pain and someone's telling you that this could work, you do whatever it takes.
Yes.
I never felt the need to go out and, I mean, we're in Bali, there's tropical fruit everywhere. I never, ever felt the need to go and have any of that. Right. So the colonics in Bali are amazing. And I was able to be with a very extremely great practitioner. So a colonic is basically a high-powered enema with a ton of water going through your colon.
Like 5 gallons.
5 gallons of water going through your colon. And my colon is extremely sensitive. Whereas some people, like I know for you, colonics, you have no pain. They're just fine. For me, colonics can be very painful. There's a lot of things trapped in there and a lot of basically like sores going on. That was what was in my colon. So sometimes
inflammation,
exactly. But my practitioner was able to really understand my body and was really, really careful with everything. And I do believe that was a huge factor in my healing.
Right.
Too.
So it's important, if you think about getting colonic, to find someone that really knows what they're doing and understands autoimmune or understands healing the gut.
Exactly.
Like, it's not just about putting water in your colon, but it's about really working with the person.
And being consistent with them. I know that doing one once in a while is great, but if you're able to do a really long cleanse, maybe not even fasting, but just like fasting from certain foods that may be a trigger for you. And I remember on my 8th month of this protocol, I had my last colonic, and it was the most extreme ever as far as what came out of me, if you can believe, after not eating very much for 8 months.
Now, were you on a fast at the time?
I was on a fast.
Okay, so you were on like the 5th day of juicing.
10 days.
10 days of juicing, just green juice, green juice. Celery. What else was in it?
Parsley and lemon, basically.
Okay, so just super simple. How many juices a day were you drinking?
Let's see.
They're like liter size or quart size. Like 3 of those or 4, like a gallon a day.
And then some turmeric juice as well.
Okay.
So that was really really, really
They call it
good.
jamu there.
Jamu, the
Yeah,
healing juice.
Like ginger and lemon and turmeric,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, basically. And that's when I got a lot of heavy metals out and just a lot of things that have been in my colon for years and years and years. It's amazing what can just stay there until that 8-month point, and it's just all let go. So I would say that after that, I took a pretty long break from fasting. So I was pretty intense.
Well, I want to hear more about this because I think this is fascinating. You told me how you went into your colon hydrotherapist and you'd been working with her for 8 months because you were in Bali and she was your girl. And that day you went in after fasting for 10 days. And then what happened?
And I was on the table for over 2 hours. And in the first hour, it was pretty uncomfortable and painful. I was kind of over it. And then an hour reached and she started working her magic on my stomach. She doesn't really do much massage. She can just like look at your body and put her hand where it needs to go. And all of a sudden, like my body just let go. And I had like lime green, the greenest fluorescent green that could ever come out of a person came out of me for about 20 minutes. And she looked at me with these just eyes of shock. She'd never seen, it was heavy metals, basically. She had never seen that much heavy metal toxicity. And I felt my eyes were sparkling. And I was just like this completely new person. And I thought to myself, I'm so happy. All of this hard work and like all of these cleansing points is really what allowed my body to absorb nutrients again.
So I guess the message here is eating a healthy diet is awesome. Like if you have autoimmune or you have cancer or you have whatever it is, disease you're trying to heal from. But the key is to do intermittent fasts or intermittent. When I say intermittent, I don't mean daily. I mean one time every 1 or 2 or 3 months.
Exactly.
To do a deeper, really like I would say seasonally, 4 times a year is probably ideal. To do like a longer 7 or 10 day fast on green juices and get the colonics.
Yeah. Right. And I know we've talked about this a lot too, is people think that when you're underweight, you shouldn't be cleansing. But that was actually the exact opposite for me. Severely underweight because I couldn't absorb, because my body wasn't healed. And all of that cleansing is what healed and was able to gain weight.
Yes. Well, I remember reading when I was in Thailand fasting for however many days. I think I did 10 days of water. I read Paul Bragg's book, and he's passed since then. But his book was talking about, he had a client who was severely underweight and never wanted to fast. And he got this person to fast. And then after the fast, they suddenly started gaining weight. The body needs a reset. If you have any kind of thing going on with it, the fasting and cleansing can be a total reset. How's the body ever going to heal if you don't give it? It's like our bodies need to sleep. Our bodies also need to rest from food.
Exactly.
You know, that's why we're such big advocates of cleansing and fasting.
And I think too, for someone with celiac or even any food intolerances, if you ever accidentally eat wheat or gluten or something like that, do a green juice fast. Quickest way to get over it. People say, oh, well, take this supplement and this and do this. No, just
stop eating.
Yeah.
How easy is that? I mean, I know for a lot of people, it's scary to think about fasting. So that's why what we kind of teach in our courses, or when we would get people on fast, is to ease off. So maybe the first day, just do all blended.
Yeah.
Right? Like blended smoothies, things that don't take a lot of digestion. And then maybe your first time fasting, just do 1, 2, or 3 days in a row, then go back to blended for a day and then eat. And then just kind of get your system used to fasting. I mean, I know you went hardcore because you were in Bali and you didn't have a job, and it was maybe you had more time you were still working. Wow, that's crazy. You were working online?
I was working with Amy Rochelle.
Okay, so you were working for her.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's just so awesome. Well, anyway, I'm just so excited that now you're on the other side of it and you've healed your body so much. And I know you've also used a lot of different supplements. Like since we've met, which has been now, we've been working at Pure Joy Planet, I think for over 3 years now, and building these amazing courses and programs and healing detoxes and everything we do for online courses. So tell me a little bit about, so now you're living in Arizona and how's your body? How are things working now? Have you discovered new things that work for your body or don't work for your body, like as you're on your healing journey?
Definitely. I feel like I discover a new thing that works or doesn't work every single day.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm really focusing on hormone balancing. Along with the autoimmune came a loss of my menstruation, being on birth control for over 10 years. And while I was researching what had gluten in it, wanted to research what birth control was. Does that have gluten in it?
Mm-hmm.
And along that, I discovered, wow, birth control really isn't very good for us. Yeah. It's very toxic to the liver, something that I already have issues with. And so I went off of it completely after being on it for 10 years and lost my menstruation completely. If you can tell, I had no serotonin, I had no sex hormones at the time. So right. I'm still actually discovering hormones again. My body wasn't producing them for so many years. That's why I really dove deep into herbalism. And I'm still right now to this day working a lot with herbs for hormone balancing, right. which also heals the gut too. The more you can produce hormones, the more your gut.
Well, so I think hormones are really misunderstood. And now people have been talking about them a lot more. It used to be that only menopausal women talked about hormones. And now what I'm discovering, because I went through menopause just in the last couple of years and going, oh, this is what hormone imbalance feels like, or like starting to nourish and feed my hormones to help balance it. Yeah. But I'm finding like you're 28 and so many women your age and younger are dealing with polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is shortened to PCOS, which is where they get big polyps in their uterus and in their gut, in their uterine lining and in their ovaries. And it's so painful. And they either don't menstruate or it's super painful menstruation. Mm-hmm. But then there's also amenorrhea, loss of menstruation. So women like you, before, you're not even getting it, your period. So there's a lot of suffering with that too as well.
Yeah, actually, most of my clients that come to me are women who have hormonal issues, and they're all around my age. And I believe it's because we're now waking up to the fact that this little pill that we've been taking every day for years is not serving us and is causing a lot of damage.
Right. And I think it's so sad because it's like put on women. Well, obviously because we grow the babies in our bodies, but put all the responsibilities put on women to have birth control. So I think it's pretty archaic, birth control. I really hope that it disappears soon.
It is. And when women go off their birth control too, their symptoms can get worse because this birth control has been kind of masking things for such a long time. And PMS is not a normal symptom. Yeah. Like having painful periods is not normal. And for some women, it's just, every month this is what happens to me. But I really want to empower women to know that it can be changed.
So I went on raw foods when I was in my early 30s. And up till then, I had the kind of periods where I'd have to go lay in bed, take about 5, 6, I'd overdose on Motrin. Basically, like the recommended was 2, I'd take 6. Mm-hmm. And it would make me pass out because I had to pass out from the pain. I'd wake up really groggy a couple hours later and like drugged because your liver is it's so toxic for your liver. So, I mean, it's like drinking alcohol, your whole body, you're just like sluggish because all these pills went in and your liver has to process them. So it wasn't until I started a raw food diet, I got rid of gluten, got rid of all the grains, really did a healing diet back in 1997, that I noticed my menstruation, my cramps went away. My menstruation shortened from a heavy 5 days to a light 4 days. And the only time it would get worse is if I ate too many nuts, like you were saying, because I was eating raw food. So I wasn't even eating grains at that time or sugar. But maybe if I ate over 8 nuts or seeds, then I would get a heavier period again. So I just think it's so fascinating to watch the body and see, once you get your body clean, like to see how it reacts to things. And I think so many people that I meet, they're like, I can eat gluten, or like this cheese doesn't bother me, or these foods don't bother me. But then when they go off of it, suddenly they're like, my pet allergy is gone. Mm-hmm. And I'm not as, I don't get sick like I used to get. But then when they eat the gluten or they eat the cheese, they go, oh my God, like I feel so terrible, because now the body's clean and it's telling you it doesn't want that food.
Right. And how much diet plays into PMS and the hormones and PCOS. PCOS is a symptom of autoimmune. So all of these things are connected. We think they're all so separate. Like, not only did I have autoimmune, but I did have PCOS. And so the body was reacting in so many different areas.
It didn't even know what to do. It was freaking out.
And, a lot of women will come to me, and after they clean their diet, like you said, their PMS symptoms go away because everything is being healed at once.
Right. And so I really, and I've heard other people talking about this, but we take the body apart. And that's why I like the new holistic medicine. It's not new, but now it's becoming more popular, where you go to a naturopath, or you go to someone called functional medicine, which is very similar, but it's about holistic, looking at the whole body versus you have cancer in this one area. Let's burn it out of you. Let's cut your breasts off. Women are cutting their breasts off. Are you kidding me? What makes them think it's not going to now show up in their ovaries if the breasts are gone? Like, it's just, we're looking at the body as piecemeal. Oh, my joints are hurting. Let me replace my knees versus what can I do? What can I change in my diet, or what can I add, or what can I take away to actually help heal the entire system? Your mood improves, like you said. What I've noticed too, and you and me talk about this a lot, is our mental cognition. Like, my eyesight actually has improved over the years, especially now again, now that I've gotten back on a ketogenic diet, which is, again, no fruit, no sugar, very low carb. My eyesight now, I'm reading again without reading glasses. And so we can notice, like, because I was thinking, okay, I've eaten raw for so many years. I've eaten a plant-based diet. I'm so healthy, but I'd be eating way too many corn tortillas or too many things like that. And then now that I've cut all that out again over the last couple of years, everything's changing again. My mind is sharper. I'm remembering things more. My clarity is better. My mood is better. So it's interesting to just play around with diet and see what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
So what are some of the latest things, like you'd say maybe in the last year or two, that you've discovered that have really improved your health even more?
Well, I would say definitely superfoods. And I've been on superfoods for a number of years, but, I wouldn't say that there's a lot of news. Spirulina is still my favorite.
Yeah.
It's a very, very healing food. And if you just pick one or two things and stick with them, they really, really do help. Like I said, it's a lot of the hormone balancing herbs. Calcium D-glucarate, chlorella in high dosages as well is really healing for certain people.
Okay, so let's talk about each of those. So spirulina, what does spirulina do?
Spirulina is an algae, and it is very high in plant-based protein that's really absorbable. And it's a very cleansing food. It is considered a food, and extremely alkalizing to the body too. So it does work with the hormones or hormone systems to heal them, and provides you with a lot of fuel.
I've always liked spirulina, but I wasn't as into it as you were. And since I've known you, and we were roommates for a year, I'd see how much spirulina you would eat. So I increased mine. And what I noticed for me is better mood. I think it's helped with my eyesight. I think that's one of the reasons my eyesight's gotten better over the last year, is because I started megadosing on spirulina. But if you're new to it, what would you tell someone that's like, okay, I'm going to go get myself a bottle of spirulina? What kind should they get?
We love Health Force.
Health Force Nutritionals, because it comes in a glass bottle.
There's a lot of brands. I've definitely tried the Hawaiian one, but I really still like Health Force and Energy Bits.
Yeah, so that's a company called Wise Elephant, and it's spelled with a Z. And we'll put this in the show notes, wiseelephant.com. And they have these Energy Bits that are little, like, tablets. Mm-hmm. And you and your boyfriend Bryce love to just chew on those.
Yeah, they have chlorella as well, which chlorella is extremely detoxifying. It detoxes heavy metals specifically, and it's something that's really beneficial to take at night. Whereas with spirulina, it's more energizing, so you take it during the day. And with spirulina, pregnant women should or can.
It's safe for pregnant women. It is megadosing.
Yes.
Yay, because it's protein.
And it actually mimics breast milk. Like it is the closest thing to breast milk than anything else. Women can't breastfeed. Eat spirulina water to kids is great. Whereas chlorella is going to start pulling things from the body. So that's not super safe for women who are pregnant. But that one that's what I do for cleansing, for sure.
So chlorella is really great for people that are getting their fillings out, so that they can start megadosing on chlorella, especially before they go to the dentist, right?
Right.
Because it'll pull those heavy metals out. And the reason someone might want to get their fillings out is because the old amalgam fillings, the metal ones, every time you chew, you're releasing heavy metals into your body, and that can mess with your brain. That can create Alzheimer's. There's all kinds of crazy stuff tied to that. So if you haven't thought about removing your fillings, it might be something you want to look into. And if you do, you want to megadose on chlorella for sure.
We could even have a whole podcast on
that, which we probably will. My sister's getting hers out at the moment, so I'm really excited for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because our mother has Alzheimer's, so now she and I are kind of geeking out on this whole like brain health, like everything and heavy metals are a big factor in that.
Definitely. And they can cause memory loss and just brain fatigue, basically, heavy metals. So I would say another thing that it's really exciting me this year is medicinal mushrooms, also for protecting the brain. And one in particular would be lion's mane. And lion's mane is an amazing cognitive enhancer and actually regenerate neural pathways in the brain.
Really?
It can,
okay.
So I like to take it in my coffee in the morning, and I find my energy, as far as like mental energy and what I can take in and what I can do on my computer, is completely enhanced. So that's definitely a favorite for me right now.
But what would you say to people that are like buying some of these medicinal mushrooms? What should they look out for and make sure they're getting the highest quality and not just buying the hype and paying a lot of money for something that's not really actually going to work?
Right. Yeah, I would say I've been doing medicinal mushrooms, especially chaga, for over 10 years now, and it's been extremely beneficial in healing my gut and things. And now that there's so many choices on the market, I'm just amazed at how many companies are popping up every day on medicinal mushrooms. And it's really important to know your source, because many companies are growing their mushrooms on brown rice, which is a substrate that grows mushrooms really well, but they're actually putting the mycelium of the mushroom, which is the mushroom that if it was growing on the ground, it would be a little bit under the dirt. Whereas now it's a little bit under this brown rice substrate. And companies are taking that mycelium and powdering it. So in these capsules or powders, you can be getting up to 80% brown rice. And it's something that they don't have to say on the bottle, because in their claim, it's mycelium. And mycelium is like the least potent part of the mushroom. Right. So looking for a company that's stating that they use a fruiting body. So the fruiting body would be like, if you're going to eat a culinary mushroom, it would be like the whole, but these are not culinary mushrooms. They're not actually edible. They need to be heat or alcohol extracted.
So a portobello or a white button mushroom, those are what you cut up and you cook and you eat. These ones come hard, kind of almost like fibrous, and they grow on some trees. And they grow in different ways. But so like you were saying, like in order to extract all the goodness from them, they need to really be cooked down or alcohol extracted.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So the heat releases some of those really beneficial antioxidants and phytochemicals and things like that.
Just name like one or two companies that you would recommend, and we will put it in the show notes too.
One company I really like is Host Defense.
Yeah, I love that.
And one of my favorites, especially, I take it almost every day, is Longevity Power. He has a few blends of mushrooms that I like to use.
That's Christian Bates. I interviewed him, so you guys can go back and look up that episode. I think it was episode number 2. He talked all about the mushrooms in there as well.
Yeah, and another one would be Dragon Herbs.
I know you like your coffee, and I like my coffee too every day. So kind of just briefly, because I know that for me, when I drink coffee, because I drink an organic, super high quality coffee, recently I started drinking the Keon coffee from Ben Greenfield, but before that I was doing the Bulletproof coffee. What kind of stuff do you put in it to help your body absorb all this nutrition?
Coffee is a cell dilator, so it's a really great thing to take with your medicinal mushrooms or your herbs. And having some sort of fat source is really important to also help you absorb those nutrients. A really high quality coffee and some coconut oil or MCT oil and some of these mushrooms. So I do like a teaspoon of Longevity Power or a few dropperfuls of some reishi tincture from Dragon Herbs or something like that. I would say, though, there was a good portion of time on my healing journey where I did fast from coffee.
I like to go off of coffee because I love the benefits and I love how I feel on it. But when I go off of it for a couple of days, I feel a little bit like my body needs to heal and like reset my adrenals. Mm-hmm. So if you are someone with adrenal fatigue, you might want to consider even a really healthy decaf or, just lower amounts of caffeine. So it's just up to the individual, really. We teach all about that in our love camp, like how to even make your morning coffee and what to put in it. So if anybody's listening right now and you're just like, what are all this stuff? We do our 4-week love camp, which we do every season. And the next one's coming up in October. So yeah, there's a lot. We have so much information to share, but I want to keep moving on because I want to really kind of focus on your story. So, now that you've healed your body, or I would consider you healed because I know you and you're way healthier than most people on the planet, even though I know you feel you could be healthier. What gives you joy on a regular basis?
Everything I'm doing right now. I'm so connected to my passion and my purpose in life. Really discovering that purpose when you wake up every day with just this sense of excitement or just like overall peace. I would say that brings me a lot of joy. Mm-hmm. And just my routine of researching. I love researching health things. I'm constantly trying this new thing. My boyfriend probably thinks I'm nuts, or he loves it, one of the two.
Yeah.
But just discovering this new, like CBD right now is amazing for me. And that brings me a lot of joy to be able to test these things on my own body and say, this works. Like, you should try this. And like, I know for him too, cleaning his diet, my boyfriend, he just has an overall sense of joy. So
yeah, we were talking about how much he's changed since you guys moved in together, and now he's eating the food that you eat.
Exactly.
Like, he didn't even know how he could feel better.
And it omits, I would say, joy is contagious. When you're around someone who's joy, you want what they have.
You want to be part of it. So what do you feel also, because I really consider you an extraordinary person. When I met you, you're 28 now, I think you were 25. And I was like, how does this woman know as much as I know? And she's so intelligent, and like, you just were on it. Like, I consider you just being someone who's completely on it. Like, you get it on a spiritual level, on a food level. We're like kindred spirits because we just are like, oh yeah, me too. Like, we both like just see this other way of functioning in the world. We don't feel like we have to fit into the mainstream. So what would you say has taken you from just like your ordinary life to being in this world of extraordinary?
Mm-hmm. Healing. I remember discovering meditation on my healing journey, just opening myself up to every single possible thing that can take me to the next level. I feel like I've had past lives of this, and I'm just remembering all of this information. I feel like at 25, I was opening up myself to just have this deep inner wisdom and knowledge.
Yeah.
And that continues to spark my interest to learn the next cutting edge. And that's what's taken me to the next level. And I know that for us, you and I, we're fast tracked. We're way ahead of the game. I mean, we've known things for years that people are just discovering now. And I like being on the forefront of that. I like continuing to learn the newest and greatest and sharing that with people.
What is something else you're working on perfecting about yourself?
That's a really great question. I like that one a lot. I would say finding a work-life balance and finding a work-play balance. Knowing your mission in life so young and knowing that this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life can be a little bit overwhelming and take all of your brain capacity, because you just want to continue to do. You want to continue to generate information for people and help people and do all the things. But also, it's so important to take a step back once in a while and not be on your computer or available. And I find I do get a lot of really great downloads for what I need to learn to take my health to the next level and what I need to teach people to take their health to the next level. So I would say more play.
We were just talking about that because we just worked our butts off for the last 6 days in a row, nonstop, literally catering this huge event up in Patagonia, Arizona. And we both looked at each other yesterday and was like, we need play. So you do have to, I mean, there are times of working really hard, but yeah, I agree. Like adding play in as much as possible. Mm-hmm. Being goofy and silly. That's what I like about your boyfriend, Bryce. Like, he's goofy. We need more goofiness in the world.
You really do. It makes the world light.
Okay, so we already talked about your favorite healthy food or supplement that gives you joy. Is there anything else you can think of on that line that you just get excited about? What's a food that you're eating that's like super fun for you?
Super fun food. Our keto bars. No.
Yeah. Talk about those, because I haven't talked about those yet. Those are freaking amazing.
Yeah. We have these amazing full meal bars that I have to say, I literally do eat one every day, and so does my boyfriend. And they are these superfood filled bars. They've got more ingredients in them, healthy ingredients, than you could ever find in any smoothie. They're like a dense, people call them a ding dong. They're not even close.
Don't be a ding dong. Eat these. That's what I keep saying.
Exactly.
Eat these healthy circles.
But they're full of all of the things that we love: spirulina, chlorella, coconut, walnuts, sunflower seeds, carob, cacao,
green powder, spirulina,
maca, spirulina, mesquite, and lucuma. All of these really amazing, nourishing foods that heal, and that's a really exciting food for me. I eat pretty simply. I don't stick to one diet anymore. I was raw vegan for quite a number of years, but I've since then found a new way that my body wants to generate its energy from. So I stick to a lot of greens and avocados and really healthy fats. I'm definitely more on the fat side of things, not much fruit. So that's really the exciting diet for me. Always having a green smoothie in the morning.
I know how you eat, so I love the way you eat too. What do you do on a regular basis that you can't live without?
Meditating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought that would be something that was in my daily routine, but it's just like when I get up and drink lemon water in the morning. That's the next thing I do.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. What is the craziest health trend or hack that you've tried?
Gosh.
Like something maybe.
I would say everyone thinks everything I've done is crazy.
Yeah, that's true. Crazy to you. Like, what was something you tried? You're like, that was freaking crazy.
Some of the colon cleansing I've done has been pretty crazy.
I was just thinking that, like, for me, it was coffee enemas.
Yeah, coffee enemas or like the psyllium and clay paste.
Oh my gosh.
Fruit fasting, I definitely think that's a bit crazy and over the top. It didn't work for me, no.
Because you could do crazy thing that worked, but so the fruit fasting did not work.
Did not work. But yeah, I would say some of those colon cleanses were pretty crazy. Wheatgrass enemas.
Yeah. Oh, OHI. We did mention briefly OHI, so we'll do another podcast from there because we're going to go there this year.
Yeah.
We go to this place called Optimum Health Institute every year. It's down in San Diego. But this year we're going to probably try the one in Austin, Texas. You do wheatgrass enemas and wheatgrass drinks all day long, practically, it feels like. And then you fast and you eat really super clean, raw vegan diet. And that every time we come out of that after a week, we just feel rejuvenated as well. What do you feel like you were putting on this earth to do, and how did you uncover it?
I was put on this earth to wake people up through food and diet, and I discovered it through having my own health issues. I feel like I was actually in my car today driving home from the gym just thinking how grateful I am that I have autoimmune, how grateful I am to have been as sick as I was, because now I can speak from experience and help. There are so many young women out there who are suffering, and it excites me every day to know that I have information for them to help them.
That gives me the chills. Like, that gives me joy too. Like knowing that we can even help one person not suffer. They find the one thing.
Right.
If you could wave a magic wand and change something right now that's happening in the world, what do you think that would be?
I don't think anything. I think everything is happening in perfect timing and it's all being uncovered exactly as it's supposed to. I know there's a lot of suffering and things like that, but I do feel like things are happening really quickly right now. And if we can just continue on our own path and journey and help as many people as possible along the way, that's all that needs to happen, because to get bogged down with worrying about all the other stuff, we can't focus on our mission. And I believe our mission is bigger.
That is so well said. I love that, because I feel like so many people are trying to fix things in the world and focus on what's not working. But if we just focus on our path and our purpose and know that we're doing the best we can to help serve, to be in service, then,
being an example, just being in integrity and authentic. It teaches everyone around you.
Oh, awesome.
Hi, this is Katelyn, and here's your health tip of the week. Today's health tip is all about chaga mushroom. Now, chaga is a medicinal mushroom, and it's been known for centuries as the king of mushrooms because it has such a high healing properties, like purifying and detoxifying. It grows mostly on birch trees in northern climates like Russia. And actually, people in Russia still brew and drink chaga instead of black tea or coffee. It has one of the highest sources of antioxidants, way higher than blueberries or even green tea. It also has extreme anti-aging properties as it fights off free radicals, which are great for the skin. Did you also know that chaga is high in vitamin D, B vitamins, amino acids, zinc, iron, and magnesium? All of these minerals are essential for a healthy body and are also essential on a vegan diet or if you suffer from any hormonal imbalances or skin issues. It's an extreme immune booster by targeting the spleen function, which acts as a filter of the blood. So it's known as a blood cleaner. It also aids in lowering blood sugar and can be useful when treating ulcers and gastric diseases. It reduces exercise-induced inflammation as well. The way I like to take chaga best is by brewing my own tea. Now, I do this by taking the whole chaga bits, which you can find on Mountain Rose Herbs, or a few other websites offer really high quality chaga. Look for one that's found in Canada or in Russia. And I like to take about a 1/4 cup of chaga bits and brew it with a few liters of water. Now, this is going to produce a really, really dark brew, and I like to keep this in my fridge all week. It lasts for a few weeks, and you can add it to anywhere you would add water or milk. So smoothies, you can brew it as your water for your coffee. You can use it in soups and even in dressings. So I invite you to try chaga. And I know for me on my autoimmune journey, it's been extreme healing. And I invite you to try it too.
Let's talk about how people can get a hold of you if they just want to connect with you about your story. Where do they find you on Instagram, email?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm very active on Instagram. I get a lot of private messages that way with people wanting to heal. My Instagram is KL Cuisine or Katelyn Louise on Instagram. And yeah, we'll have that all in the show notes. But Pure Joy Planet is our website, and I'd love everyone to go there. And I'm the first point of contact there. So that's a really great way to get a hold of me as well.
Exactly. Okay, well, awesome. It's been so great having this today. I'm so looking forward to more. I know we just kind of had the tip of the iceberg here of like all the things we could launch into talking about, which is the reason that I created this podcast. And I know that you were the wings beneath me in doing this, is so that we can share so much information that I want to give to every person I meet. So for those of you guys listening, if you like what you're hearing and you want to hear more, send us some feedback. You can send that. You can go on iTunes and rate us and put a little review down. And even in the review, you can say what you want to hear more about or what you liked, because that will help us to create more podcasts like this or things that are informative that could help you, just one little nugget that could help you change your life. I'm going to keep coming to you every week. It'll be either me or Katelyn. And we just really look forward to connecting more with you and helping you. We're doing this for you. And I just really love you guys. So I want to just thank you for being here. And thank you, Katelyn, for being here today.
Thank you.
Wow, what a great interview that was today with Kate. Now, we covered a lot of stuff. So I really want to make sure you guys check out the show notes because the information will be there. And we did cover a lot of health tips such as spirulina, chlorella, how to use medicinal mushrooms. We talked about longevity formula and Christian Bates and his amazing product. And also we talked a little bit about the 4-week love camp. Now, I just want to offer you guys, if you do want to jump on our 4-week love camp, it starts October 1st. And a lot of people that want to consult with me, they come into the cafe and want a consultation. And instead of doing that, I always recommend that they first join our 4-week course, because the price is really inexpensive at $250. And you will get so much more information out of that 4 weeks than you would ever get from sitting down and consulting with someone, because we can just pack in so much more information on this course. Every day we send you out a new lesson, and then you also get a weekly live call with me and Kate on Zoom, so you can actually see us and ask us questions. And you get an interactive social media Facebook group that you get to interact with them, post your pictures, ask each other questions, support each other, boost each other up. So, a lot of times when you're doing these kind of things, you're all alone. You're going to have over 200 members in that group that you can interact with. Plus, tag us in there and we answer your questions, usually within 24 hours. So this is an invaluable course that we're offering so inexpensively because we love you and because we really want to be able to reach as many people as we can. And the only way to do that is do this as a group course. So go ahead and click on, or go to purejoyplanet.com, click on courses and the online courses, and then you'll scroll down and you'll see that we have the fall love camp there for this year. And then when they ask you for a discount code, put in the word podcast and you're going to get an additional 10% off. So that means you're going to save $25. So thank you so much for listening today, and I will see you next time.